A question for both of you. How does AIOps enable organizations to monitor and manage their IT portfolio automatically? How does it enable them to be more agile?
Agile has been the backbone of software development for all of these years, but infrastructure and cloud operations and application operations is still to ramp up when it comes to being agile and delivering services in an agile mode. And if you look at the three movements around agile, site reliability engineering, and DevOps, they are now all coming together to make this entire thing happen. And I think AIOps is the foundation which is needed for all of these three areas to really be realized, right, practically on the ground. And for agile to happen, the first thing is that the infrastructure should be automatically provisioned so that the development teams are not really dependent on infrastructure teams. It doesn't go through a service request process. You click a button and you are able to provision the entire infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, it is not just spinning machines, but it is the entire software code, the application, be it running on containers or on cloud native technologies or in premise. And so I think the AIOps starts right from the automation itself, right? How do you automate? How do you have policy-driven deployment of infrastructure? AIOps has a role to play there as well, and not just maybe limited to monitoring and observability once the infrastructure is provisioned. So starting from the automation of infrastructure deployment using any of these approaches to all the way to ensuring that whatever is getting provisioned is actually monitored. It has the observability parameters configured. It is a fully functioning environment that starts sending alerts and data to the monitoring systems. And with that, I think there are other aspects that start coming in, right? Once the alerts are being sent to the systems, they need to be analyzed. And Andrew, you were right when you said that it is, very difficult for people to do monitoring. But in my opinion, it's not just difficult. It is impossible for people to monitor this humongous amounts of data that is being generated with telemetry being provided everywhere. So earlier you were using monitoring, which meant you knew what you were monitoring, right? So you knew these are the parameters that I'm monitoring and these are the alerts that I would get. But with observability, it is now becoming inside out. So the application teams are writing to log files. You are having the log data as well as the metric data and the event data flowing through systems and from disparate systems, right? So you have the same application which is now spread across your data center, running cloud native technologies, running on Kubernetes, all coming together through a mashup to deliver a service or a business process to the consumer. So it is impossible for humans to make sense of all the data that is being thrown to them. And that's where AIOps comes in to find anomalies, and not just anomalies, but also to have predictability where you can predict, as an example, what is the size and scale of my infrastructure going to be after 6 months, right? Mm-hmm. So that you can then do automatic provisioning of infrastructure, you can do fine tuning, and then there is another angle of FinOps which comes into play. So you want to have that capacity, you want to have the higher availability, you want to ensure that whatever you're configuring is compliant to disaster recovery and business continuity planning. You want to ensure that changes that you're doing to the infrastructure are compliant to the policies and no disruption happens. But you also want to ensure that the cost of doing that is within the budget. So how do you really use regression techniques to find out what would be my cloud spend going forward, right? With the kind of workload that I'm seeing, with the kind of adoption that I'm seeing for my application. So all of those things come together in a holistic way in what we call as advanced AIOps, so that you can realize the end-to-end benefit rather than just focusing on maybe observability, monitoring, and a root cause analysis of systems.